Jumbo, I'm Ayuma, the story coach.
Jumbo, I'm Auma, the money coach.
Together, we bring you Her Money Story Africa,
a podcast where we are humanizing African women's money stories.
We believe every African woman knows something about money that she could teach or learn. Grab your drinks and snacks and let's talk money the African woman style.
Remember to subscribe to our podcast and share it with a friend.
Hey sis, Ayuma here. Today's money story is by Joy from Nairobi, who talks about being a fresh graduate and money. Enjoy her story and look out for Auma's money tool and our reaction to this episode.
So it was 2019. I had just cleared campus, but it was that period before you graduate, but you have just cleared campus. At that time, money looked like clothes. You know, you wear them to just cover up delicate parts of your needs, such as airtime, transport here and there, and also things that I just needed. So being that babe who had done makeup in campus, I said, I can't stay without money. So let me pick my limited tools and let me start doing makeup just as a side hustle as I wait for my dream job. I'm telling you, at this time, my dream job was in Westlands and the minimum salary was 80K. So at that time, I also took odd jobs. Okay. So being in a public university, it took longer than I thought. So I thought it will take 6 months for me to graduate. And I thought I'd graduate in June. So I ended up graduating in November of the same year. But luckily, the following year was 2020. And in February, I bagged myself a job as a sales girl. So at this time, life had taught me a good lesson of starting from the bottom and working your way to the top. So I readily took that job and worked as hard as I could. So after 8 months or so, I saw a better opportunity of the same position in a different company. And I said, now that I'm a pro sales girl, let me go for this opportunity. And luckily for me, I got it. In this new job, I was miserable. I was overworked, overwhelmed, and overstretched constantly. So on one random Tuesday after 3 months, I decided to quit. I was tired. I didn't even give these guys a formal resignation. I just resigned just like that because I was tired. And you know the way people resign with a plan? I had none. So I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want employment. And after a while of contemplating my next move, because at this time I knew I'm using up my savings, but if they are depleted, I will go back to poverty, which I don't want. So it's like I had a eureka moment. I was like, why don't I go back to my first love, which was makeup? So I decided to go for it. But remember, at this time, it was almost a whole year of not practicing and not getting any clients, because the clients that I was getting during this time, I was referring them to other service providers because I could not be available for them. So I decided to start from scratch. My skills were so rusty. So I decided, let me practice makeup on myself as I post on social media. So I did that and I started posting. Then I start getting 1 client, 2 clients, and there are several clients coming. So I built a clientele. And in the same year, in December, I joined a marketplace called Nyayo Mom's Sokos, which enabled me to start now selling my makeup services as well as makeup products. So my sales increased. And in that group, there's the founder called Maureen Amakabane, whom I met. She immediately became my mentor. So in one of our rides, she advised me to register my company. And I have all these excuses of, KRA, government. So she advised me. She just explained everything really well to me. And I decided it makes so much sense. So I'm going to register my company this week. So the name was Emboldened Beauty Ventures. This was it. And then it wasn't. I felt like I needed something more than just doing makeup. So at that time, my parents grew increasingly worried about me not having a formal job. I come from a non-entrepreneurial family. So the pressure to apply for a job was increasing constantly. At the same time, my fire for this beauty industry is increasing. and I want to know what is this something more, quote unquote, that I want. So, one thing that was really bothering me at this time was the fact that there were so many Kenyan owned brands, but they were not locally made. And this made me wonder a lot of times. So I decided, you know what, if there is no one doing this in Kenya, I'll be the first one to do it. Then I decided to start doing my research. After doing research for some time, I noticed that kumbe there are some people who are actually doing this, but there are not many. I decided to join them. I took up my savings from makeup and decided to enroll for an online course because I wanted to acquire the skills to know how to formulate products. I don't remember a time I was that voracious. I was absorbing everything. I was excited about this thing. You know, the way you are being taught something, but your heart is beating fast because you're so excited. That was my feeling. So after the course, I didn't even wait. You know, the way people say, now that I've learned, let me relax. And I didn't even wait. I decided to look for local suppliers because this course was not in Kenya. So I decided to look for local suppliers. And trust me, when you're looking for something, you'll find it because it was quite challenging to find credible suppliers, but I still managed to get not even one, I got several. So I started sourcing and actually now doing the practical parts of my class. So I practiced for a while. And obviously, there are those trials and errors, but after a while, I now got used to this. So this was my thing. And I decided now we are good to go and we can now launch our products to the market. So in November 1st, 2022, we launched our first 5 skincare products. They did amazing. We were shocked. And the following year, which is 2023 of January, we were able now to add to the range and manufacture more products for our body. So that was our body care range. And we've been adding products to the range constantly. We currently have 12 products in our range, and there is no capping our upside. We have no limit to the number of items we are going to add to our range. So, my money lesson from my story is that be single minded. If you are working on something and you are really single minded about it, if there is no plan B, plan A will always work. And my money tools from my story are that first, you can definitely turn your passion to profit. And the second one is that register your business. When you register your business, there's just a level of seriousness that you have towards it that is not with you when you have not registered your business.
This episode is brought to you by Pesa Savvy. Are you ready to take control of your finances? Unlock the secrets to financial success with the Pesa Savvy downloadable ebook, Mastering Your Money, the ultimate guide to financial wellness. In this comprehensive guide, you will explore the profound impact of your financial history on your money behavior. Learn why setting value-based financial goals is the key to unlocking your financial potential and achieving the life you desire. Discover the proven strategies for setting effective financial goals that drive lasting change. Don't let the financial stress hold you back anymore. Check out our show notes and download Mastering Your Money now and take control of your financial health. Available exclusively for our podcast listeners. So Joy, how do you feel after sharing your story?
I feel good. Actually, sometimes when you are deep in the works, you don't see how far you've come. So it's like you're digging a hole, but you don't look up to see how deep it is. So the minute you share your story, like I shared mine, I feel like, wow, is it me who did that? I've come such a long way. Sometimes you really don't see it until you speak about it. So it felt so good. And it felt like it's just a story to inspire a young person who's out there, who's feeling like they don't know what they want or they do know what they don't want. Because sometimes it is good to know what you want, but sometimes all you know is what you don't want. So the minute you figure out what you don't want, it's usually it leads you to what you want because you already know what to cancel. So it leads you to what you want. So it felt so liberating. It felt awesome. I feel like I have a heavy load off my shoulder. It feels amazing. Thank you for the opportunity.
And that was an amazing story.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You know, something that I thought about when you were sharing your story, I went back to, you know, when you said that the vision that you had after graduating, that you thought you would be working in Westlands, which is now the new business capital in Nairobi. You thought that your salary was how much?
It was 80K.
80K.
Nothing less, as in it was
Gross or net?
non-negotiable.
but like, where did you get the
That
idea
was
that your
net.
first salary should be 80K?
No, in campus, you hear rumors. You're like, I saw this person, they were in fourth year.
Yeah.
Then I met them, they were in Westlands and they were earning 80K. So me, I knew that's the path.
Yeah.
That's the path.
Right
Yeah.
after graduating,
Right.
you'd be
No
earning
experience
80K,
at all.
You'd be working in Westlands,
Yes.
and life would be good, right?
Exactly.
And then after graduating, you're in the house. Your parents are just looking at you every single day,
Yeah.
and they're like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Because you can only imagine because you said you come from a family where it's not entrepreneurial, right?
Yeah.
Yet, because
Mhm.
clearly you are.
Yes.
But it's like I do understand that dynamic, you know, where if you're not waking up in the morning to put on a suit
Yeah.
and to physically leave the house
Physically,
and to go say you're going somewhere to do important things with a degree, your parents have worked so hard to take you through,
It's so true.
and then you come back and you have money in your hands, they'll be like, yes, sasa hiyo ni kazi.
Yes.
Now that is work.
Yeah.
How did it feel like you know very well that employment is not for you, and yet you're now at home and your parents are just looking at you for, hey, what is happening?
Yeah.
How did that feel? Like waking up every day wanting to fight for your dream, but then just the environment that you're in just doesn't understand the reality of that.
At first, it was very depressing. I'll admit that there was a period I was really down because I'm looking at these opportunities I'm being given. I'm being told, apply for this permanent and pensionable. You'll have medical, you'll have allowance, you'll have leave, you'll have all these things that are added advantages of having a job. And I'm here feeling like, imagine I don't want to apply for that job because I will get... My parents will send me those opportunities on WhatsApp, and I'm looking at them and I'm like,
oh my God, I know those WhatsApp
yeah,
messages.
and they're like, apply it now, apply it now, and give your which uncle from where to follow up for you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, it's not bad money, but it's small money. And at that time, it's probably maybe 90K hookah, or sometimes it's even those 30Ks, the ones that you're beginning with. At that time, you don't have money. You don't even have 1,000, but you're like, you're 90K, you're 30K. I feel like this is not my path. So it was such a struggle. I used to apply, but it's those ones you apply, shingo upande. So you apply, then you're like, I won't call that uncle because I don't want him to follow up on that. So it felt so... It was very depressing. But once I followed teachers who were for entrepreneurship, and they told me, it's actually so normal to feel this way. It's so normal for you to see a good opportunity and not to apply for it because you feel like your heart is not there.
So teachers on campus?
No, teachers online, just people.
Online.
Yeah. So
excellent.
Yeah. So I started following those people and I felt very validated. So when I felt that validated, so I started finding people who are like me, who their parents were also telling them, apply for these jobs, and they also didn't feel like they want to apply for those jobs. So just finding, sometimes it's good to validate yourself, but sometimes it's even better when you are validating yourself with another person or someone else is validating you.
Yeah.
So after that, I just grew comfortable. Then I think there's something that happens to your mind when you cross 25, because after 25, I was just like, no, this is it, and no one is going to change my mind about it.
Yeah.
So I became so confident about it because previously I was up to 23, 24. I was a bit unsure. But at 25, something just woke up and I was like, well, this is the path, and I'm not even going this way or that way. It's this or this path. So they will force me to apply for those jobs. Sometimes I don't apply them, and sometimes I apply for them. But if I'm really forced, then I pray to God and I'm like, God, because I was really sure this was my purpose. And I used to pray to God and I'm like, God, you know what? close those doors because I don't want them to open. Then I go to that job and be really frustrated and hate my life. And then also I saw people in their 30s. So I used to see this trend where someone will cross 30, then they will start leaving their purpose at 30. But I kept telling myself, I'm not guaranteed
An
those
eat, pray,
years.
love moment.
Yeah.
You know, you go to India, you travel, you find yourself, you find love, you find everything, money. You know?
Yeah.
We are in Kenya and we have taxes to pay. You
Yeah.
can't afford eat, pray, love at this moment.
Yeah.
But also, I think that the fact that you figuring that out at 25, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it does take time for some of us, because we get there at 30. That realization actually comes at 30. So it's not that we didn't know and we are waiting or buying time. Some people just don't know.
Yeah.
So they say that 33 is, they call it the year of Jesus, the year where you figure out your purpose.
They say that, yeah.
They say that. So I feel like if you are able to get there at 25, then that's a privilege for you, because then you got to test it out early.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing I would say to people who are young and in the same position. You're getting out and the market is just not looking attractive, or it is attractive but you can't get that thing you want. That you be gracious with yourself, and take that opportunity of just figuring things out and testing things out and try this and try this and try that and try that, because in that process then you find. But if you just follow the path that has been set by your family or whoever, you get this, you finish, you get this job, you get married, you get a child, the path has been set, you live the other people's lives, and then now you get to that, you're like, whose life is this?
It's not
You're
my
like, it's
life.
not that
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
So, Juliet, I'm really curious. Have you worked with maybe clients who are maybe parents and who are struggling with their kids in terms of finding jobs? Because you can imagine telling a baby boomer, this is not my path. Like, they're like, what do you mean? This is not my purpose. It's not in alignment. It's not manifesting. Telling a baby boomer, that even just that language just did not exist for them. Have you maybe encountered maybe clients who are having that generational struggle of turning passions into profit, even the whole idea of pursuing your passion for profit, like joy? Have you worked with people who are like that or experienced people like that?
Well, I can say that there have been a number. I just remember one particular client who had a son who is in his 20s, and she was thinking about retirement. Interesting, because we just had the conversation on retirement, but she was so concerned about this one son of mine. Like, the only reason I'm not planning adequately for retirement because he's not settled. He's still trying to figure things out. And so she's cuddling, she's trying this, let's try this. And then she was overextending herself. I feel like she was gracious to him as he tried to figure things out, which is more than we can say for a lot of the of that particular generation who have a life plan set for you based on their experience. So to her defense, she was gracious, but I found that it was holding her back because she didn't feel like she was financially secure until her son is secure. And so that season of him trying all these things, and because it takes time to stick, whether it's a business or you take the creative route, it really takes. And so she was just anxious for him, anxious for him to find what he will call his before now she can say, okay, now let me plan for retirement, because then she feel like, I have to pay his rent, I have to do this, I need to do this, because whatever he's doing is still not working, which is a really interesting angle to look at, because it's easy to go that generation versus this generation, and this kind of lifestyle versus this one. But imagine somebody who is actually trying to understand, but they are also kind of stuck because they are worried that they love you, they want to see you settled, they want to see you in a job or in a business, but they also want to allow you to figure it out. So it was tough.
And I can only imagine, because what I'm hearing from you is that the great opportunity there then is the time to do that. Because if you're already planning for retirement, and then now your son or your child is now figuring out what they want to do when they're already adults, I think that then this begs the question, then should we be allowing our children to start figuring out what they actually want to do even before they go to uni?
in high school.
Yeah, in high school, because you already know your passions are already there. You already have these interests there.
so
So it's just a
talents.
matter of pushing and encouraging your kids to actually pursue what they want, as opposed to you must be an engineer. Do you know, I have friends who the whole family are doctors, and I'm sure the parents are like, yes, we are a family of doctor, Grey's Anatomy, all of us, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I mean, it's something that you can wear with pride. But what if this guy who's a doctor honestly just wanted to do something completely different?
Imagine.
What if this guy wanted to explore tech, but because of the pressure of the family, you're going to minus that equation of one more doctor in the family? And then we find ourselves in this space, especially with this generation. I always believe that every generation is tasked with building something. For us millennials, it was technology, because that's when the dot-coms came through and stuff like that. But now we have these generational Gen Zs and even Gen Alphas who are born in technology, and then now they understand AI and stuff like that. And I imagine trying to force an Generation Alpha kid to be the next family doctor, because we come from a line of doctors, and yet the world begs, figure out AI and build the next big thing using AI. So I feel like even from a young age, taking them, even, like these coding schools and stuff like that, instead of taking them to, oh, you must watch, is it Dora? Which cartoon is that one for the doctor? And by Dora and stuff like that. I feel like parents then need to start having these conversations at a young age and realizing that work looks different and honorable work looks different. Because now for you, in terms of makeup artistry, what did your parents think about makeup?
Well, I was told a lot that I didn't go to school to come and do makeup because anyone can do makeup.
Wow.
I can't.
Wait.
Like even someone who has not gone to school will do makeup. So that's what I was like, ukwenda kufanya degree kuja kupaka watu rembo.
Kupaka watu wanja. In our day it used to be wanja. Kupaka watu wanja. Because it's looked at like, we took you there so that you can go work for supply chain. You should be working with Coca-Cola and helping us do serious things. That's actually bragging rights for your parents. So that's when they go for the next whatever, they can be like, my daughter works at Coca-Cola. My daughter works at, that's where the degree money went to,
Sometimes that's where the problem is. I can't go and say my daughter is a makeup artist.
Imagine.
For sure.
And yet that money is the money that's coming through makeup is huge. The beauty industry in this continent, we've not even scratched the surface.
For sure.
So what would you say to, let's say, if your parents had an opening ear, like an open whatever, what would you say, like the thing that would have really helped you the most in the process of you're trying to define this thing for yourself? What really made that mark for you? Like for you to be like, I'm going to choose it, but my parents, I know it was hard for them, but what is the thing that allowed you to stay on despite it all and actually just keep going?
I think it's just being stubborn. I have always been a very obedient child. So I've never had those episodes of nini, not me. But I knew that when it comes to this, it's me. Like it's a matter of my life. So I think just being very stubborn and sticking to it, because it's not easy, honestly. Because, being told you didn't go to school to come and do makeup, it's not an easy thing to hear. But I think just being stubborn and being sure, like once I prayed about it and I was so sure about it, there's honestly, because me, I had it from my Father in heaven, so there's no other human being who can tell me. And God has been gracious, honestly. Like he has given me the strength to power through even the tough days, even the you didn't do this, nini. So it's just being stubborn, and when you're so sure about your path, I don't think there's anything that can sway you.
And you know what, at the end of the day, our parents just want us to be okay,
Yeah.
because all of this trouble they take us through with all of those things. I mean, I'm sure when your mom said that, she didn't mean it to hurt you.
No, it
but I
wasn't.
tell you, once that money starts coming through, they'll be like, hey, makeup, so today you have which customer? Yes, in fact, my women's group, we have an event coming. Are you going to do the makeup? So I think as at the end of the day,
Mhm.
if you stick to it, you're stubborn, but you have a plan and there are
Yeah.
results.
Yes.
And I think once they start seeing the results and the money coming through, and you being operating from a place of joy and being settled in your passion, I think at the end of the day, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. I had
Yeah.
no idea. I was just doing what I thought I should do as a parent.
Because those
But
are
I'm
what
so
has
glad you figured
has
it
worked.
out.
it has worked for them. They have seen it working. So they're like, I saw this accountant.
Yeah.
I saw this doctor. I have not seen any makeup artist.
Yeah.
Because I was also being told, like, okay, just show us someone who
Yeah.
has taken this path and they have made it. And I'm like, well, there's this one, and they can't see them because now they have their version of success.
Yeah.
So I understand, like, it's totally understandable. They love us that much that they want the best for us. But yeah, I totally understand. But sometimes you just have to take the path that is best for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this story and you happen to be in the same space as Joy, you have just maybe cleared uni or even done your MBA, and you're just wondering, my goodness, the world that I thought was out there is completely different, right?
Yeah.
But you are like, but I have a passion. There's something that I have in my hands. And I'm wondering, can really my passion translate into profit? If you are wondering and you're in the same space, please let us know what you've learned from Joy's story. And if you're living with parents currently, you generational, please, we stand with you. We are here to support you. We can create a support group, but know that at the end of the day, just like Joy, be stubborn about your future, but have a plan, and the results will settle all the questions. Please share with us your experiences. What conversations are you having about work and career and graduate stories? We are more than happy to hear from you. Keep joining us, keep storing with us, and we are always more open to hear your perspectives.
Hey sis, Auma here. So Joy's money story touches on the idea of passion and profit, and the idea that you can actually create money from that thing that you love. Um, when it comes to making money off of stuff, the one thing that you have to figure out is what they call a business model, right? So I have this thing, I love doing it, but how do I make money from it? So you need to figure out what is called a business model. Once you figure out a business model, and this is really where now the challenge usually comes with people who are, on the creative side, like the skill, they're so good at what they do. They love to do makeup, they can draw, they can create graphics, they can do all this amazing, beautiful stuff, and or they can even make music. Amazing. People love, people enjoy, but they get stuck because how do I make this sustainable? How do I make this feed me and pay my rent and all these things? And you'll find that historically speaking, even in Kenya, the creative industry has suffered a lot because they churn out all this wonderful, amazing stuff, but it doesn't result in anything valuable to them at a personal level. And so, figuring out what business model you're going to take is becoming a very important part. And so, if you don't have somebody who can have like a business voice, it's like you have the creative, it works really well if you have both. But if you have the creative, try and introduce a business voice into that creativity of yours to help you figure out how do I make money off of this. And so, based off of that, I want to talk about a business tool called a business plan, right? And it's really important for you by the time that you are starting off, if you can see the end from where you are in terms of, and the end being that the business the creative business that you're in is growing, it's thriving, it's making you enough money to live on, it's employing people, it's reaching, more people than you had ever thought about, then it's really important to start from there and then work backward. And that's really what a business plan does. Now, I'm big on when I'm working with business people, whether it's creative or otherwise, it's really important for us to think about um, the end from the beginning, and to think about the business plan as a document for yourself, like a strategy document for yourself, because sometimes business plans is associated with people who businesses looking for funding, or who are trying to get people to give them money, but you need to create one for yourself as a strategy document, as a plan, as saying, I want to start this thing and this is what I'm selling, right? Even as a creative. And that's really usually the problem with the creative. What are you actually selling? And is it valuable to whoever you're selling it to? Whether it is our parents who are not seeing necessarily the value, or it is a musician who feel, and everyone feels like they have a right to their music without necessarily exchanging it for money. So you need to figure out, this is the product, this is the person who finds it valuable, right? And are willing to put money on it. And then this is how I'm going to make money off of it. So there are many other parts of a business plan, but I think if you can figure out these three parts, what it is that you're selling, what value, the business people will call it a value proposition. So what value is it offering? And then are they willing to pay for it? And then how much will I charge for it? And then now you also, on the other side, you have to think about all the things it takes to bring this value out here. And you compare that with how much you want to sell it for vis-a-vis how much it costs you to actually offer it. And when you can put these two things together, then you determine that if I want to live off of this money, then how much I'm selling it needs to be a lot more than how much I am putting on to create the product. Yeah. And so it's uncanny how common it is when people get into business, or even not necessarily even creative, but you're getting to business and you're doing this thing and you're doing and you're doing and you're doing and you're doing, but you're really not making any money off of it. But it's exciting, you love doing it, it's passionate, so you just want to keep going and you power through and you power through. But sometimes it's important to stop and really question what success looks like. You define your key success factors or indicators. Is it the money? Is it the impact? Is it the reach? Is it all of these things? And this is something that you can put together in a business plan. Now, I'll say that if you are from a traditional way of thinking about business plans, they can be as big as 100 pages, but you can create a very simple 5-page business plan, just so that this is the product, this is who I'm selling, this is how much I'll sell it for, and this is how I'll reach them, because you have to market the thing. And then when you have some key elements, then you can measure that as you go along, whether it is every month or every quarter or every 6 months or every year, just so that you can determine whether the business is growing and it's sustainable and it's worth pushing through, or it's worth you need to pivot or you need to close it down. Yeah. So if you're in business, or if you're thinking about business, you've just gotten off campus and you're trying to figure out, what do I do with myself? And the job market doesn't sound attractive to you. You have a skill, a passion that you want to execute. Take a minute. It shouldn't take you, you don't need to go on a retreat somewhere to write a business plan. Just an hour or so of sitting through to just ask yourself certain questions about your business should be adequate for you to be able to know how to start and where to start.
Did you love today's episode? Share it with a friend and stay tuned for more stories. Subscribe now to our podcast and follow us on our socials on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Her Money Story Africa.